Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, you may recall that last spring I went and visited my mom in California, and I brought a whole bunch of things home with me when I came back, including Flash and including this TV over my back shoulder here. Ever since I got it installed though, it's been behaving in kind of an odd manner. I've got a couple devices plugged into it. I got a DVD Blu-ray player plugged into it. I also have an Amazon Fire Stick, but for some reason the input keeps switching on this. I'll be watching something and all of a sudden it'll switch to another input and start looking at TV, or switch to the Amazon Fire Stick, or even sometimes when I'm not even in here, this thing will just come on all by itself and start switching around. I don't know if there's something wrong with the TV, something wrong with the configuration, or just something wrong in this room. So today I want to kind of explore this a little bit and see what's going on. Yeah, see, there's a perfect example. It just switched from the Amazon Fire Stick to TV, and then it went over to the PC, and now it's switched back to the Amazon Fire Stick again. I didn't press any buttons to cause that happening, and I don't have any idea why that's happening. I'm not touching anything to make that happen, so I don't know. That's the issue today. As you can see, it's just kind of right now cycling through all of the devices. So what I want to do is I want to exclude the room first. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the whole system out of here, and let's set it up in the living room and see if I can duplicate the problem. Ultimately, it may just end up that there's a problem with the TV and I have to replace the TV. Unfortunately, this isn't a very big TV and they aren't terribly expensive. So, you know, if that's what it comes down to, that's what it comes down to. I'm going to be getting my annual bonus at work in the next few days anyway, so if I have to go buy another TV set to replace this one, then that's just what's going to have to happen. But I want to see if I can figure this out first and maybe track it down to a particular device or something weird going on. But that involves taking this all out of here and seeing if we can figure it out. So let's get this all torn off the wall, out into the living room, and see if we can track down the problem. Alright, so I've moved everything out into the living room. I got this little just temporary workbench that I use oftentimes if I want to be out here and, you know, do some work and not have to be out in the garage, or maybe it's too hot or just too inconvenient to be here. And so I moved the TV out here. I've got the DVD/Blu-ray player out here, the Amazon Fire Stick out here. I'm not even ruling out the possibility that there could be some weird RF interference coming from this thing. So basically, I'm going to just plug the TV in at this point. I'm just going to go straight to the wall. Not going to use the power strip or anything, just an extension cord. And we're going to turn the TV on and see if it still starts wigging out. If it's wigging out here, then it's not related to the room. It's not related to any of the devices because none of the devices are plugged in. It's not related to the power strip. It's just the TV, and we're going to have to replace it. So let's power this thing on and see what happens. Let's see, I need that remote. So it's on the PC input right now. It's obviously not seeing anything because there's nothing plugged into it. So we're going to let this run for a few minutes, see if it starts wigging out, and if it starts wigging out, then we know where our problem is. Fortunately, a TV this size these days isn't horribly expensive. Something like this would have been, you know, $1,000, you know, just 5 or 10 years ago. But I was over at Walmart today, and a comparable TV, I've seen them as low as like $179, and those are actually a little bigger. This is a 32-inch TV. I was seeing like 43-inch TVs that were you know, $179. I'd probably go a little bit more than that because that was like a no-name brand TV. And this is a Samsung TV. Samsung's a pretty good name. And I saw some Samsung TVs there, 43-inch, that were like $300. So that would be an option if we need to do that. But like I said, we're going to see what happens with this and if it starts wigging out on me. All right, 10 or 15 minutes have gone by now and nothing weird has happened. So Next thing I think I want to do is I want to introduce this power strip into the equation. So basically I'm going to disconnect or power down the TV, and I'm going to put the power strip between the power cord going to the TV and this little extension cord I have. If there's some sort of an RF interference coming from this thing, then it should pop up at that point. Alright, we've attached the power strip between the extension cord and the power cord going into the TV. Now we're going to let it run for another few minutes and see if this starts causing anything weird to happen. Alright, another 10 minutes has gone by and no wigging out on this thing yet, so I'm going to introduce the next device. We're going to plug in the DVD Blu-ray player. Alright, the DVD Blu-ray player is now plugged in. I've switched to that input, and we're going to see what happens with this now. Now it's funny, I've been looking at the back of this thing, and there's this port here that's labeled as service that resembles an awful lot a USB port. And I actually tried, since the Amazon Fire Stick requires an external power source, it can't get power from the TV, it has to be plugged into a USB port. I've tried in the past to connect it to this port here, which, like I said, looks like a USB port. The USB plug plugs into it, but I've never been able to make it work here. It was interesting. I just went over and pulled up the specs for this thing, seeing if I could figure out exactly what this thing is. And I realized this isn't even a high-definition television set. It calls itself a high-definition TV, but it isn't. High definition is 1080 by 1920. This one's about a third that. You know, you sometimes hear them refer to high definition as 1080. Yeah, this is 720. This is mid-level. This is a starter high def. So, you know, even maybe if we do get this thing working properly, maybe this is an opportunity to actually update to full high def. Because, you know, the TVs I was looking at Walmart today are actually high definition TVs, and they aren't terribly expensive compared to this TV, which looks like it's about 12 or 14 years old. So, I don't know, it's funny what you discover when you start digging into this. Alright, so I did find the actual owner's manual for this thing online, and yes, this is a USB port, but it isn't a USB port for powering anything. It's actually designed if you want to update the firmware, which you'd put as a little USB thumb drive or a hard drive on there with the update software, and at that point you could update the firmware on this thing. So at least I know what that is. I can't use it for what I was thinking it was going to be. Anyway, in the time I did all that, this has been running for another 10 or 15 minutes now, so I don't think that the DVD Blu-ray player is the problem. Let's attach the Amazon Fire Stick and let's see if that can make this thing wig out. Alright, the Fire Stick is connected, it's booting up right now, and like I said, we're going to let that one run for a little bit too and see if that causes any problems. Alright, so we got the Fire Stick plugged in and running at this point, and we're going to see if that causes any problems. So we'll let that run for a little bit. As I mentioned a minute ago, I'm actually kind of a little disappointed that this thing isn't high definition. So we may at some point just end up replacing this thing anyway to get a full high definition TV in there. But I still would like to see if this is what the problem is. If everything continues to work here properly now, because this is hooked up in the configuration that it would have been in the bedroom, and nothing's missing at this point. So if it works fine out here, you know, maybe we got to rule out the possibility or consider the possibility that the problem is something in the room. And I don't know what it would be, because there's really nothing active in that room that could be causing any kind of problem. But I don't know. If we'll let this run a little bit, see if we run into any further issues. And if it doesn't, we'll put it back in the room, hook it up again, and see if we can duplicate the problem. But like I said, we may end up just replacing it anyway. Well, a little bit more time has passed, and I'm not really seeing it doing anything weird out here. It is now entirely configured the same way it was in the guest bedroom, but it's not doing anything strange. The only real difference is right now is is the room itself, and I'm still open to the possibility that there's something strange going on in the guest bedroom that's tripping up the TV. It's on the base rather than on the wall, which, I mean, that shouldn't cause anything, but who knows, you know. Maybe it's just the fact that something got jarred loose a little bit when I moved it here, and maybe I jarred it back when I moved everything out here into the living room. So I'm going to put it back into the guest bedroom, and we're going to test it again, and I don't know. We'll have to see if it happens again. If it does happen again, then, you know, we'll replace the TV or something like that and see if that solves the issue. So we got the whole setup back here into the guest bedroom. I think I'm going to let this just stay on for a little bit, see if it starts tripping out. And like I said, I think I've kind of made up my mind. I'm going to probably replace this thing anyway, just because it isn't a high definition TV. So we'll see what happens. It does seem to work okay. So I have been mentioning for a while there that when I do my live streams, I have my friend Matt's videos running in the background on my computer monitor, and most people don't even see that. Maybe this would be a better monitor for that. I could set it on the table behind me when I'm doing the live streams and have the Hawaii beach scenes playing on this instead, because you wouldn't really at that point notice that it wasn't high definition if you were looking at that on here in the background. So, you know, this is a good TV. It just it isn't exactly what I thought. So anyway, I'm going to let this run for a little while and let's see what happens. All right, so as I said, I wanted to put this thing on and let it run for a while. So basically, I just put on the movie Top Gun Maverick. I'm just letting it run right now. It's been going for probably about an hour at this point, and it's still working pretty well. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what happened. Maybe, like I said before, that the trip back here from California jarred something loose, and me pulling it off the wall and messing with it jarred it back into position. But at this point, everything seems to be working pretty well. So we're going to let it run for the rest of the movie and see what happens. And I guess we'll just kind of make up our mind over the next few days what's going on here. All right, another couple hours have gone by, and this thing is still behaving like it should. So at this point, I think I'm going to declare victory. I got to admit, I hate issues like this where it just kind of fixes itself and you don't know why it happened or what happened. But, you know, that's sometimes the nature of electronics. They can have weird interactions that you don't necessarily know about, and maybe something you didn't think about changed something and the whole problem got resolved. I'm going to monitor it over the next few days and weeks, and the truth is I will probably end up replacing this TV when I get my bonus at the end of this week, because I still think that's a good idea. But anyway, I think that's all that I have for today. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.